That's what one thing when I said.
Did you go down to?
No, you done it in higher level for like the body fat
and
and all that. So that was one thing after that fight that I wanted to say to James. I says, right, we're going for this. I'm signing for the BKFC. I says, but I want to do everything as professional as possible. I says, I need to know where it's not just about punching fucking
who's the toughest
turning up to practice. It's about everything, strength conditioning, nutrition and training.
Aye.
So that's where we're.
Do you think Bare Knuckle's missing that? Do you think there's still a lot of hardest guy in the boozer type people doing it?
I think that's what I'm got to show, especially this kid. You know what I mean? I just don't think he's got to have.
His name is Joe
Lister.
He's 21, isn't he?
Aye.
He has an MMA background as well.
Boxing background. So he's, I think he's won nationals or something like that. Had 40, 50 fights maybe.
It's not going to bother you though, is it?
It's the same sport, is it?
Nah, it's all the same sport. I can box as well, you know what I mean? So
So how many fights are you signed for? Wait.
Three.
So you're guaranteed you're free?
Guaranteed to 3.
Aye.
And then are they looking to push more BKFC shows in the UK?
Aye, so what I've been told, there's never been a BKFC in Scotland, but I've been told through the grapevine that there might be one at the start of next year. So
good.
That'd be a great show for me to get on.
You fought in the Murrayfield Ice Rink one, and they're not going to have. I saw them saying they're not having it anymore because of this sort of negative. I didn't even know what the right word to. The stigma that's attached to bare knuckle. Like, how does bare knuckle move away from that? Do you think? Do you think it's by the athletes being more professional, like you're saying, getting the nutrition right, strength conditioning right?
I think it's just got it's a new sport and nobody really knows much about it. It's like when the UFC, we can remember when the UFC kicked off, it was like it was like cage fighting, it was like cog fighting, wasn't it? Everybody thought it was very violent and ruthless and it was the hardest guys on the planet, but they never really seen the technical aspect behind it and the sportsmanship. I think even when I started MMA a way back then as a kid, the boxing was more violent and especially for kids than MMA. Because when you used to go to the amateur boxing clubs, it was like square goes, like for 11-year-old to 15. It was heat geared zone, and we used to cheat. Like, it meant to be 16 or 14 ounce gloves, and we were scrubbing the 10, the 10s and that off the gloves. So we would try to get the advantage on.
But that's boys being boys,
boys being boys. So but when you went into the first time I went into the MMA gym, it was like totally different. It was actually Canby Boxing Club at the time. I had 4 guys training MMA because they were not really in it. James Dillon had a gym at the time, but he was in Carnwath and he was in the old church. Right. And I couldn't drive at the time, so I trained with...
What age are you at this point?
When I started MMA, 15. 15. So I'd done a bit of Thai, done a bit of boxing. I get into a bit of bother with the police, and obviously I get lifted, took to the cells. And I get my stepdad and a guy, Brian Meaton, came and picked me up from Motherwell Police Station. And Brian's words were me on the back of the motor, so you think yourself a hard man, you think yourself a tough man. And I'm sitting 15-year-old saying, aye, a day, try to be wide back. So he said, Canby Boxing Club, the Mora, some MMA guys are sparring. And at the time I was like, MMA, as I was just known as cage fighting. So went up to Canby Boxing Club and it was a guy, Dean Codwell. He was a European champion. Dean was mid-30s at the time. You had Jamie Noel and Graham Armstrong as well, who was just... Jamie was an amateur. Graham was just turning pro. He fought Andy Ogle a couple of weeks later. So I went into the boxing club, gloved up, sparring day on a Sunday, and was in with Dean Codwell. I went to throw a jab. He's took me down and submitted me inside 10, 15 seconds, if that. I've then get back up, round straight again, same again. They must have submitted me 15, 16 times inside 5 minutes.
Humbled
me. And I was like, as a 15-year-old kid, I need to learn this. And that was me, from 15 to 21. Just was on it. Passed my test when I was 17 and went up to James's. Walked into James's, knew all the guys, obviously because of their reputation. James has always had a fucking great bunch of boys. Like, if you look at his average student, they've always been like high level in the country. So I went in there in Old Church, and it was just all the boys were going up the stairs onto the stage, and we're pulling all the judo mats. So that's where MMA was back then. We were pulling judo mats out to then make a big square, and then we were doing an hour of Thai, an hour of wrestling, an hour of jits, whatever it was on whatever night. And then at the end of the night, we had to put all the mats back. But I was up there for a wee while, and then I wrote my motor off. And I was only 17 at the time, and I wrote my car off, and it was a badging. Flipped into a Fielding car and off. If I had a seatbelt on, I'd have been dead. That's what, after I get the report, if I had a seatbelt on that night, I'd have been dead. It was actually James and Joanne stopped, and Joanne pulled me out the car. I'd flipped into a field, and it was upside down. And when I've obviously knocked myself out in the car, and when I've came around, I've just off seen the orange lights, but I could smell the fuel. But the fuel car had halved in two, and the fuel was pushing down on top of me. Wow. So I've started kicking what I thought was a windscreen, but I was upside down. So it's a flare. So it was so I was in the mud. So the only bit of light I could see was for the road, and it was a wee Corsa I was in, a wee Corsa VXR, and I managed to smash the wee tiny triangle back window and get myself out. And as I've got halfway out, Joanne's at this time, and Joanne's pulling me out, and she's shouting, "James, it's Sean, it's Sean."
This is Joanne Calderwood for people.
Joanne Calderwood. So that was that, and then after that, I was more like a nervous wreck in a car. At 17, no long past my test, was in that type of car crash, and I just didn't trust the road.
Very young as well. It's going to have an impact on you. Like, it's quite a traumatic thing.
Yeah, and then after that, I went back to the gym that I was originally training with the boys, and they had just they split up, and there were four of us with Big Brian again. Brian would do our stand up, and then we were teaching ourselves like jiu-jitsu and wrestling through like your Eddie Bravo books and all that kind of stuff.
That was what it was like back then.
Yeah,
there was nobody. I think we had like maybe Marcus Nardini would have been about at this point.
Yeah, so I think.
Like, there wasn't anybody else that was teaching very high level. James was doing it as well, but it was all through, as you're saying, books or paying for a
seminar,
video, or like going to these seminars. There was not a lot of knowledge.
And if you couldn't travel about to the places, you were relying on somebody who right, Paul, you go see it, come back and show us it.
Aye.
That's, when you think about that, that's such an inefficient way to teach you.
Yeah, and at the time as well, what James was, it wasn't just. He was a fighter. He was fighting. He was fighting. I think he fought at 61 because after that crash, he fought. Is it Von Lee? Was it Von Lee? He fought Von Lee. We went down to Liverpool for that. It was a first round illegal up kick.
It was. Yep.
Toe in the eye. Toe in the eye. It was the 4th of December. Because my brother, I know that because my brother, me and my brother were down here, and he was turning 18 on that day, and we had to stand outside the nightclub after 12 to let him in.
I never do that to people. I just let you in. If it's going to be your birthday at midnight, you can come in.
So before that, it was boxing at a young age. Did you have any other like experience in martial arts as you were growing up, or was it just straight into boxing?
So I boxed. I done when I was 5 or 6. I done a bit of karate. Never lasted long. So it was one of the ones, done a couple of classes, got myself a suit, and then just knew it wasn't for me. Started after that, I was always like, I've always been interested in fighting, like and that's one of the reasons I ended up boxing, because I was getting in a lot of trouble at school or just in the street, fighting with my pals. Like, one minute we were best pals, next time I was rolling about with them.
It's grown up in it, that's what
that was us, but it was just the aspect to the fighting, like I loved it. And my mum, it was a guy my mum spoke to a woman whose boy and the scheme was a boxer, amateur boxer, Ryan, and he took me up to my first class, and I started boxing for then. And then between, the boxing was on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there were a Thai boxing class on a Tuesday, Thursday. And after the Thai boxing class, there were a Jeet Kune Do class with older gentlemen, Big Brian being one, Danny Devlin, and I would go to the classes and then jump in after them and do a wee bit of like Jeet Kune Do and like things with like nunchucks and like a wee bit of knife fighting and all that kind of stuff. I was just interested in all aspects of a martial arts.
Like being a proper student in martial arts.
I loved it, just loved the full aspect of fighting. And then obviously I took that side of it into some things I shouldn't have done. And then that's obviously what led to the MMA.
I remember everybody was like ranting and raving about, you should see this guy. And I watched one of your fights. I was like, holy. Was it just one amateur fight you had?
Two. I had 2 amateur fights, 2 no. But even then, it was like
everybody was scared to fight.
Aye,
it was very hard. Like I know one of the promoters, and he was like, "Can I get matched?
Can I get me matched?"
Nobody's wanting to fight him.
And what age were you during at this?
I was probably 18, 19, I think. 18, but at the time I was
great age for going on.
But I also had a mad rep, like even in Wisha, and I've always had it for like school and like Wisha, and then obviously when I started MMA meeting like wee Tam and all that kind of stuff, and I was just mad. I was just a young boy, just full of madness, and I got myself a wee bit of reputation through that as well, which never helped because when people were, oh, you don't want to fight him in case something will happen outside the fight, and it was just chaotic. It was chaotic way back then.
There was no real discipline throughout the sport though, really. When you think back, there was a lot of, probably all gyms had a couple of guys like that who, they were just fucking nutcases who came down to the gym to be worse. Now, that wouldn't be allowed. You're not allowed to go out and be a menace in the street and then you're welcome in the gym. Gyms would be like, you can't come here.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously back then it was just, everything was different.
Different culture. Like at the time, Glasgow was like the biggest crime. It was the crime capital of Europe for knife crime and deaths. Like, and a lot of, like, obviously through what I've learnt now, like a lot of trauma in young boys and kids have came from friends committing suicide or people being murdered that's close to them, and it's all
gang
fights, and I was all, that's what we done as kids. We were just in about all that craziness, the gang fighting, and it was.
He's from this area. I don't like you because you're for this area. We are going to get together at this day. But it's what Scottish culture is for young guys.
So we used to go to Mother ice skating, and I'm from Wishaw, obviously. So we used to go down there high school, Mother ice skating, and it'd be brand new in ice skating. But after the ice skating, we knew they were the different areas, and some of the scenes in Motherwell Precinct over the years has been absolutely frightening. You can imagine 20, 30 young boys for 2 different areas going at it with nothing else in their handset for ice skates. You know what I mean? It was.
So you mature, you get older, you learn, but you've still got this love for the sport.
So the love for fighting and the love for the sports never left me.
Yep.
Life got on the way. I did struggle. I struggled. Two close friends committed suicide 2013. And that was like the mentally turning point for me. It was, I had all this, I obviously had a skill set, but I was in self-destruct mode. I just didn't know how to, I buried everything. I couldn't, I wouldn't sit on here and talk the way I'm.
I just pushed it all right down.
Pushed it all down and got on with it. I ran away from the problems. I worked in the oil and gas industry at the time, so it was an easy escape for me. I would come home, I would deal with the problems. I wouldn't say much, and then I would run anytime I could get away. I would run away.
You're away back offshore,
and it was like
can only phone between certain times, and it gives you that. It gives you a window to just know be out. Can't reach him because he's on a platform in the North Sea.
Yeah, exactly. So I was, and it was just, but at the time I didn't realise the effects that was doing to me mentally as well. And then through a string of, that was 2013. Between 2014, 13 into 14, and into 15, it was just, they were probably the 3 worst years of my life. Just mentally wise, I've never, the good thing is, touch wood, I've never turned to any sort of addiction, but what on the back of it, I've turned to like the violent side of things, which I'm not proud of, you know what I mean? But also, by doing that is also self-destruct mode in myself.
You ever thought about going into schools and talking to guys? Because just listening to you, like, I know bits and bobs of you growing up and your MMA career and all this kind of stuff, but just listening to the way you're talking, I think it'd be great for young guys, because there's young guys, not just in your local area, all over Scotland, all over the UK, who are feeling the exact same way and are going through the same kind of things. And to have a guy that's lived it and now come out the other side and have a platform, it'd be a great idea to look at.
No, something. No, I definitely want to. That's after last year doing the ayahuasca kind of stuff. It's definitely something that I want to do in the future. But right now, at this present time, that I've got a chapter in my book of life that I need to fulfil, and that's in combat sports, and that's why I've been into the BKFC. That's the plan. Was I'm at an age now where doing MMA or going into boxing, it was just too long for me to get to where I would like to be. Where the BKFC, I can get there faster, and I believe in my skill set, and I believe in what I'm capable of doing. That I'm got to be a massive upset in there.
So you took your first bare knuckle boxing fight. What was it, like a month ago?
Yeah, it was about 10 weeks ago now, probably.
10 weeks,
10 weeks ago, aye. 10 weeks.
Fucking feels recent, eh?
Aye, probably 8-10 weeks ago, aye. Start of July.
So you were training a lot of different gyms?
So I wasn't training at all.
Oh, right.
No, I wasn't training.
I thought you were... Right, okay, I'll let you.
I wasn't training at all. So I only started back training March, doing bits and bobs in the boxing gym, in a local boxing gym with Jake Murray. Jake's a pro boxing coach. So doing bits and bobs with him. But before that, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been travelling all over Europe, just fighting. So that's I've not ever been fit when I've been doing that. I just do it because I love the scrap. Started training with Jake, and then I heard of this bare knuckle
promotion. It was in Scotland.
Promotion. It was got to start in Scotland. Got to be the first one. So I was in the barbers, believe it or not, and my barber said to me about it. The two guys get their hair cut in there, and then just blanked it, never said anything. And then about 8 weeks out for the fight, I got a phone call from another friend. What's happening, big man? I hear there's another BKB event happening in Scotland. You into it? Again, talked it over, never said nah. I just knew mentally I wasn't ready for that.
And that was what was stopping you. It wasn't you found the thought of fighting bare knuckle, like it sounded good, you were up for it, or you just were like, nah, it sounds a bit.
I just thought at this right now I just don't need to do that.
Aye.
You know what I mean? I was still trying to figure everything, like my life out, like for what I went. I done 6 ceremonies with ayahuasca last year, and it never just changed my life, it saved my life. And through after you come away from that, you have to piece. It's like a big. The way I describe it, it's like a massive jigsaw. You have to start piecing the puzzles together, and I was still at that stage. You try to piece a puzzle together and become like a better person. So my number one goal was to become a better father. I think that's like everybody's goal. I want my kids to be successful, but I also want them to be proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got another phone call from Tam Collins, and he said, I spoke to him, I went on, and me and Tam's been pals. He's always been the only guy that's basically stuck, one of the only guys that are stuck by me through thick and thin. And he's always tried to keep me on the straight and narrow, even when I was off the rails and up to all the mad shit. He would be the one that would phone me and, what are you playing at? Fucking stop doing that, get yourself back in the gym. And he does it with a few guys, doesn't he just do it with me, he does it with a few guys. And so I was on the phone to him and he says, why are you not doing it? How long have you been at me to get you into, get contacts to get you into a boxing match or the BKFC or something like that? Like, because he's well connected, because he was a promoter himself.
He was the promoter on top, which was like the biggest show in Scotland, and he's made a lot of good contacts in the business. A
lot of guys like Stevie Ray and all that getting to the UFC through the promotions. So I ended up coming off the phone to him, and I had a conversation myself that night. I just said, what? That's fucking, why are you not doing it? Let's just go and do it. So up to training, and then contacted James and said, this is what I'm got to do. Can you help us out? James being James, saying, "Mayor welcome, that's there." Went up to higher level on a Friday night sparring night. Nervous, but more excited. And then that was the turning point in the BKF where I says, right, I'm all in here, because it just took me back to where I was when I was a boy, and then you surrounded yourself with the best talented guys in the country by a country mile.
It's like-minded as well.
Aye.
They're all working for the same goal. Everybody in that gym is.
And even on the first night, I got humbled the first night with a 17-year-old kid. And
in all fairness, he's a handful.
Oh, was it Kai?
Kai. we know, like,
of course it was.
He's a handful.
But he's.
And what had you been training up to that point? Just the odd pad session?
Pad session, boxing session. Had a couple of spars with amateur boxing, couple of Scottish amateur boxers and that kind of stuff. But not to that extent. Like 5-minute rounds, 30 seconds rest. And he was my last round.
It's funny how, though, as soon as you said a 17-year-old boy, I was like, that's Kai. Everybody, like he does it to everyone.
I train, I was my last fight camp, and he just comes in, 17 years, and just dances about you, and you're like...
It's mad because it looks like he's not trying either. That's the worst bit. You're like, oh my God.
The thing is, you can't hurt him, because he is a boy.
Aye.
But you want to.
Aye,
you want to land that big right hand,
100%.
You do feel that, well.
Aye, he's and again, that's like...
Lovely young guy, though.
Oh, brilliant. And then obviously through that, coming... doing the Sunday, doing the Wednesday, and then just getting myself involved with all the group of boys, that you soon realise that they're all chasing the same kind of goals. They've all got the same dreams and admirations, and it's a community I want to be involved in.
Yeah.
And even through that, that's when I spoke to James, like going through that training camp, like I learned so much about myself, and it was meant to be. Everything was meant to be. And then obviously...
On that same breath, like you're saying, the ayahuasca, and you're trying to piece puzzles together. And
it all came together.
And that was one of the pieces that you had to actually put into place.
So on my very last night, I'd done 6 ceremonies over 2 months. And on my very last night in ayahuasca, it showed me like a closing of a door. And it was me and my kids standing. And it was me looking at a field. And I was walking off the field, and there was so much commotion on the field. Just guys fighting. It was horrific. It was like a battlefield, and it showed me walking with my kids' hands, holding my kids' hands off the fields, and it's showing me signs, and it's showing me like things like competition. But at that time when I came home, I thought I had put it as my kids, because my kids compete at judo.
Right.
So I think I need to spend more time with my kids for the competitions, and it showed me like gold in that. And then I started doing that, and my kids started picking up gold medals and that at the judo. But then when I started training at a higher level, and I started seeing myself progress, and then after the John Ferguson fight, it all started coming together. And it's like I've already seen what the future holds for us. And then obviously I never had a clue that I was going to sign for the BKFC to fight in the O Arena in Manchester on a James DeGale undercard.
It's wild, isn't it?
You know what I mean? So,
and it can happen quick.
It can happen. That's 15 weeks.
That's a crazy, like, it's crazy to put that together, but I'm glad that it's happened to you, because it's a piece that you're needing.
No, 100%.
What's coming from martial arts, like mixed martial arts, coming through boxing where your hands are wrapped and you've got padded gloves on from grappling and all this kind of element. What's it like going through that to bare knuckle boxing? Is it the same? Like, I know you said you've had like a couple of scuffles in the street.
No,
it's not the same.
It's not the same, man. It's so when you have a scuffle on the street, you don't really feel anything.
No.
But see, when you've got your wrist taped,
it looks really hard. It looks solid, almost like a cast.
It's like a cast. That's how it's like. So for the thumb knuckle back to maybe like 75 mil, 100 mil on the wrist, it's taped, and then they put like obviously the blue or the red tape on it. But I think that is like a cast. But see, you get your hands done at the start of the night. Well, in Edinburgh you did. So see, inside like an hour, like the circulation in my hands started to swell up, but they were, the only way to describe it was like a piston. There were no play in it. It was just, it was solid. And I was like, fuck, that's got to be sore.
But the same breath. He's getting the same.
Both ways.
Both ways.
Is it just because the lack of blood going to it and just all the bones become prominent?
I don't know what actually happens. I don't know. It just that my wrist, my fist just felt like they were steel. And another, when I got my hands wrapped, the guy I was fighting, so there were a table and I was sitting there saying, get my hands wrapped, and the guy I was fighting was just directly like meet you away at the other side facing me, getting his hand wrapped. And it was just a weird mental like time, you know what I mean?
I think as well though, my last couple of fights ago, that was very similar. He turned up dead late to the arena, so did I. He was just there getting his hands done, and so was I, and he was just like, hello, you all right? And I was like, aye, fine. I think once you get to our age, that sort of like, let's get at each other going. You know that it's only going to be an hour anyway till you get to do what you need to do. So that sort of got to jump a boot and got to act tough for cameras and stuff, that goes away really, doesn't it? I don't know how you...
At that point, was it like I'm fucking ready to kill?
Because he'd had a lot of fights and he'd had previous bare knuckle fights as well.
He had eight bare knuckle fights. He had... What I got told, he had maybe like 25 boxing fights or something like that.
I've met him a couple of times.
I think he was 5-0 or 5-1 in MMA. He'd won a couple of MMA belts, and then he had like 8 pro fights. What interested me in him was because he had went the distance with like Danny Mitchell, who was UFC veteran, and then Danny Weir, who was number 3 in the UK at the time at my weight class. So he'd went the distance with the 2 guys, and he had done a bit of damage as well. So I knew he was a tough guy, and I knew obviously I had to go up at my bed and I had to train for him. I didn't obviously expect the fight to go the way it did. I knew if I did, my game plan was going in the fight was be relaxed in the first opening of the round, hit me nice slight shots, mere pepper shots, win the round, but gave him a bit of confidence coming out the second round, because I knew he came on stronger in the rounds, so I wanted to basically start matching him. But I didn't just want to go gun-ho and try to put him out. I wanted to try to set him up for the big shot, because I know if I hit him, I knew I was going to do damage. But when I went out the first round, second, I hit me like a 30-40% jab, and I knew the look in his face, and I just, you're done. But
you're not ready for this.
You're not ready for it. And then he threw like a 1-2, but the ring was dead spongy. So I get like my foot, and I went to step back, but my foot and get caught, and he hit us to the body. When he's hit us to the body, I've hit me a right uppercut. He's then stepped back. I went into another couple of light shots. I've then stepped back and he's threw the same shot twice. So I knew if I hit him with 5 or 6 shots here and step back and load up the left hook, I knew he was going to either throw the right hand or the jab. I've hit and peppered him 5 or 6 light shots, took a step back, reset, and I've just seen the roll of the shoulder, and I've come right over the top with the left hook, and the second I hit it, and I just knew I felt the crunch.
Got the double break, obviously.
Got the break, and looking at John, I seen his mouth swinging, but obviously adrenaline, he's not felt it yet. I've then went in. Something in my head told me not to punch this guy in the face. My plan was to right hand, left uppercut, go right down the middle with the right hand again. I threw like a sloppy jab, tied him up, started hitting to the body. I looked at the referee, and then that's when I heard him screaming, and I knew the fight was over then.
Bare knuckle boxing, when you're getting hit with somebody that punches hard, because I've sparred with you when I was a young guy, when you were a young guy, I sparred you as a man, and it's one of the things you're fucking hella good at, is hitting a good stiff jab, and it fucking rocks you. So to get hit with that, with knee padding, and the knuckle just connecting, full on bone.
Do you have to change your game plan? Like, so there you were going through what your game plan was, but you're saying throw shots at maybe 30, 40%. Do you have to be conscious of that all the time? Do you have to think like, because your hands are obviously going to get worn down with damage.
Yeah.
You're thinking if this goes later rounds and I've already put out a lot of hard shots in the early rounds, are your hands possibly going to be too smashed up to really be effective in the later round? I'm not saying your hands are going to be smashed and you're going to have to pull the plug. What I'm saying is the 5th round, you probably can't throw like you could in the 1st round unless you're conserving the power output. Yes. That makes sense? Or
yeah, no, 100%. There were a reason for that, and I spoke to James obviously about it as well. I went into that fight with a broke hand. My right hand was broke.
I remember
so
this, and I was like,
But my gran passed away 2 weeks before the fight. So, and I broke my hand on the Tuesday, the Wednesday sparring, and my gran passed away on the Friday. And at the time, I was like, everything was just emotionally. I was all over the place, and I was gutted because I'd broke my hand.
Everything was against you.
And I thought, like, I spoke to Jake, I spoke to James, and I spoke to John Nicholson about it. And we were all looking at basically like pulling out the fight because it was a broke hand.
Yep.
But when my gran passed away, I just couldn't. There was something I just couldn't. I would never pull out the fight. I was never. It's not in my. I would never pull out a fight anyway. But it just. My kids were training with me. Like, I was doing it at a local gym, and I was in Skittim doing pad work, and I had the Waynes doing with me, Skittim doing pad work and that, and we were doing it together. We went through that training camp together, like me and the Waynes. And then when my gran passed away, they were like, inside us like, I need to do this to get out, just to get the fight over the line and do it for one for her, and two, it's a good mental building game for us. And I went against a couple of decisions and just I'm still fighting, and that's why I went in there with the game plan of light shots. So when John started going through the gears, then I could go through the gears and start. If I needed to put the hands under pressure, then I would.
Mm-hmm. It's just I'm thinking about. You are obviously going to have to game plan differently for a normal boxing match or an MMA match, because the chances are you are going to lose one or both hands at some point in these fights. Like I've seen, I think it was Paulie Malignaggi.
That's right.
Against Lobov, broke both his hands. And then just all he could do was cover up. He couldn't throw anymore because obviously he's coming out throwing.
Your boy Jay McFarlane, he not busted
his hand? He broke his, aye.
For the opening seconds of the fight.
Was it really?
Opened the eye, broke his hand.
But that's probably very common.
Yeah.
So it's something you've got to take into account, thinking about not only your training, but actually going, because it's five twos. That's quite long. When you think about getting to round 4 and 5, and especially with your break in between, that's when you're going to go, fucking my hand's sore here. And that's when it might start to play into you and affect you towards the end of the fight. So it's just another facet to bare knuckle that people probably don't think of.
Yeah, it's just the impact on the face of the hands, in it. It's your fingers and your knuckles. Fingers and your knuckles.
Aye, so fairly constant.
The 27th of September.
27th of September.
In Manchester. This is huge, man. This is like, this is, as you're talking about these pieces, not only fulfilling one of the things with your kids, like your kids are now going to look up to you like, my dad's fighting.
Bare knuckle boxing.
One of the biggest bare knuckle boxing shows in the world. It's the biggest. There's no other.
It's a big growing sport as well. It's becoming much more mainstream, much more popular. How does this event feel compared to when you fought at Murrayfield Ice Rink? Did that feel just like this is just to get me back into it? And then compare it to this upcoming event. Does that feel almost a more legitimised boxing event?
It does feel. No, I've not got any difference in feeling towards the fight, because at the end of the day, the fight's it's a fight. It's the exact same process as I'm cutting weight. I'm going through. I'm go the weigh-ins, recover. I then have to deal with the day of the fight and all that. So the fight situation is just the the exact same. When it comes to when I break it down into crowds and that doesn't really bother me either, because even when I was in Murrayfield, like the amount of people that came to support me that night was unbelievable. Busloads. Like, I just didn't expect that the amount of people to go there, and it wasn't that everybody was buying the premium tickets.
So they're all there.
So there was a great buzz about it.
It was, and even like the wee community I was brought up in, the wee scheme, it's like there's been a lot of shit happening in the scheme for the last 20 years. It's a wee population of, there are 100 houses with the wee scheme I was brought up in, and all the generations of the boys and a girl in that community, there've been 9 deaths under the age of 30. 9 deaths, and it's that all boys and lassies at my generation, and it's been suicide. You know what I mean? And it's just this, and so me coming doing this on the 27th, like the wee scheme's buzzing. You know what I mean?
It's positive amazing. For the
it's
area
amazing
for
to
once.
see, and you'll never take that out of me. Like, I always remember where I came from. You know what I mean? And they've all got a part to play in this to where I'm all the day.
Yep.
So It's got to be exciting. I'm just looking forward to...
Is the same group of the teams going down to Manchester?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye, so it's...
I'm looking forward to the event. I really am.
Are you going to it?
I'm going to go to it.
Aye, so there'll be a few bus loads going down anyway. You'll hear them. You'll definitely hear them. But then again, the fight itself, it's a great matchup. You know what I mean? This kid's... I don't know much about the kid, but...
He's no battle worn.
No.
You need to have...
life experience.
You need to have life experience and being in front of the fire.
Yeah.
It seems like it's all kind of went his way.
Do you see it like that? Because he's obviously 21 to our age. It's quite a big jump.
No, 100%. I think.
Do you think that's... Like, what's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on the fight itself is, I just don't think he's got to have what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
The dog,
like, doesn't matter. He could be technically better than me. He can punch harder than me. But see, when it comes to go, that's go down. That's going to the pit. Like, let's see who's got to break first. Because if it doesn't knock him out, then what's he got to do?
Aye.
You know what I mean? Just
hoping to make it to the end. Isn't it a good plan?
Face for 2 minutes for 5 rounds, and I'm got to be relentless.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing, he's got to be on the back foot. You know what I mean?
And you see him just giving it up, or do you see yourself just putting him away? Just too much for him. Or are you that type of guy? I'm
prepared to go the 5 rounds. I'm prepared to, and I will be. I'll be prepared to. And listen, I'm not going there looking for the stoppage or the knockout, but I know what I possess, and I don't think there are a lot of guys out there that possess what I've got. You
see yourself getting a similar one to the last fight?
If the opportunity approaches itself, I'll take it.
Well, that was well put. I know I shouldn't be trying to drag that type of thing out of you, but
it's got to be a great fight. Listen, I've heard a lot of good things about Joe. He's got a massive following. He's got a great... He's got everything you would want as a fighter. You know what I mean? And he's exactly the opponent I want. Like, the way he's getting showcased and blew up, and listen, he's got a skill set and all. Can't take us away from this kid. He's what is he's got obviously the boxing, but he's also very, very explosive. And
he's fought in BKFC before. This will be his second fight.
So we're the only 2 guys to stop John Ferguson.
And for being 21-year-old and going in there, like, fair play to him.
Aye. Yeah. No, he's definitely got a set of balls on him. No, I'm just listen. I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for this.
I'm looking forward to it as well. What we'll do is we'll fire if you've got a ticket link, we'll put it in there.
Yeah.
Have you got sponsors guys that have helped you?
Aye. So I've got a lot of good friends in that I've jumped on board with and helping us get through the fight camp. Like Ben for Bless Campbell, Stephen, SFK Property. We've got Glasgow Watching Co, Speedy Roofing. We've got Ambus. We've got...
Sounds like you've got a good support. A good support network.
They're all guys that I've grew up with. You know what I mean? And they all know me personally.
Yep. We'll fire their links in there.
And if you're... do you get a wee kickback for the ticket link as well?
Aye, I'll get some.
So we'll get that and then buy your tickets there, and that way you get something back for your hard work. I appreciate that. Because it's no easy. Doing this costs money. That's the thing. I think 100%. A lot of people, and I don't know what the pay structure is like at BKFC. I mean, it's probably slightly improving, but still not enough to be full. Like, I would imagine you're still working. And
I'm still working and still, like, what I'll get paid for my fight will probably just pay for my camp. You know what I mean?
At best.
But it's not, right now it's not about the...
It's not about...
Exactly.
It's the journey. For money. This is something I should have been doing a long time ago.
Yep.
And I believe that. And I sat on the sidelines, like, I've always been fans of yourself, Stevie Ray, Joanne Calderwood, Danny, and I've always sat and watched, even Chris Duncan. Like, I've trained with Chris Duncan that as well before, and I sat there and I watch where they've got in life, and it's like there's been a bit inside me saying you could have done that.
I'm no just filling your head full of smoke or fucking sucking you off, but I genuinely believe it. See, the very first time I ever sparred with you, and then I watched you fight, and then I was like, this guy's going to be tasty. And then, what it does is it's one of these paths where it comes to a fork in the road. Sometimes you go right, sometimes you go left, and you never know where it takes you. You never know what your outcome is. But I'm glad you've back on a path.
It just wasn't my time. Just when at that stage of my life, it just wasn't my time, and I just had a lot of.
You said it perfectly earlier on. Life gets in the way. You didn't know what's coming towards you. You never know. And maybe if things had been different, it would have worked out different. But you would never have ended up doing this. Yeah. You would never have ended up at the BKFC
right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it's
and the BKFC would never have been about at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is I've not took a lot of punishment and training rounds, all that kind of stuff. So I'm still very fresh, and I'm still young for the BKFC.
It does seem to be a lot of older guys in it.
Yeah.
It seems to attract, or like
a lot of ex-pros in it.
Aye. And why though? Do you think a lot of these guys are seeing that there's a skill gap? Like I think you see yourself as technically superior to other guys. You've seen a skill gap, and you said earlier, I can jump into BKFC, put some guys away, and propel myself forward much quicker.
Yeah.
Is that because there still is I
think it's just because of where it is now as a sport and how it's fast growing. So I think in the next year or two it'll be totally different. I think it'll be more like programmed like the UFC. I think there'll be a lot more smaller shows, and they'll be drafting guys in. I think it'll go that type of platform.
Well, if you get somebody like Conor McGregor who's headlining, who's sort of champion BKFC, then I think it's a great place to be involved in, using his brand to push the sport.
To push it.
Because as you were saying earlier, it's in the same infancy of the way mixed martial arts was when MMA first came about, and it all this negative press. It's the same. It's just going to take for people to realise that it's an actual discipline. It's not just two guys throwing.
Who's the toughest? You're taking it as seriously as any athlete would. You're not just a bare knuckle fighter. You're an actual athlete. You're making sure the nutrition's right, the strength and conditioning's right, the training's right. It's not just like I get up in the morning and I run 3 miles and then I hit some pads.
Yeah,
it's proper, structured, planned out to get the best out of you.
That was the first thing I picked up when I went into higher level. Like even the amateurs, they're training like the way pros would, high level pros back then. You know what I mean? And that's
and they act like them as well.
That's why I get involved with Adam and Lee and jumped right on board with everything.
We spoke about that. Like these young guys who are amateurs are working with conditioning guys. They're working with nutritionists. It's no back in the day where we were all using the same weight cut sheet to cut weight. It's moved forward, and I take my hat off to you to realise that and be like, no, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. Let's work with a good conditioning guy. Let's work with a good nutrition guy, and let's work with a top striking coach. So guys, we will keep you up to date with the links for if you want to watch it live, but we will put the link for the tickets. It's September the 27th and it's in Manchester. Do not miss out in Sean Weir against Joe Lister.
Yes.
And we'll have you back on after.
I can't wait for this one. So guys, hope you enjoyed it, and as always, keep it high.
See you soon.
Thanks very much.